Could you tell us a little about how you came to music and especially to composition?
Yes. I began my musical study with composition. In fact, I started learning music in order to write my own pieces. It was 12 years old and had no knowledge of music theory at the time, absolutely none. So I learned gradually as I went along, driven by the question I asked myself while composing. And I should say that I still remember my very first composition, very little composition, especially the first one for piano and violin. I was 12, I remember. Why? Quite simply because I used to play with a violinist. It's not Sylvain, Foyen back then. But little by little, I began taking lessons, piano lessons, because in my town, Angers, little town in France, where I live, there's no composition teacher, not even at the conservatory where I studied as a teenager. So I studied piano and musical analysis, which I know teach at the Conservatoire de Paris. And after my study in Angers, I go to Paris in the Conservatoire, where I studied in particular with Michael Levinas, a famous musician here, who is a true master in every sense of the word. His teaching was a lesson in continuous creation. I must admit that I never showed my composition to Michael Levinas when I was a student. But it's only today, over the past few years, that he was come to know and generously follow my work. I even dedicated a piece to him, Le Rite de la Minoire, which you performed, Sylvain performed here in Mexico with the OFUNAM.
How did the idea of composing Chemot, a concerto for orchestra and two pianos, come about?
Yes, it's funny. Ideas can arise from an unexpected situation, and that unexpected situation can resonate with a deep inner desire. I was already composed for two piano on the one hand and a piano concerto on the other. So the idea of the work for two piano and orchestra came to me quite naturally and in a way imposed itself. Then came the circumstances. In my class at the conservatory, I had Sacha Morin as a student. He showed interest in my piano works and played one of them for Michel d'Alberto, a piece with La Danse selon Matisse. I composed this piece 10 years ago for a famous pianist, Roger Muraro. Michel d'Alberto is a pianist I have admired since my adolescence, and for years I had dreamed of composing for him. Truly, Michel was very fond of La Danse selon Matisse, so I told them, well, all that's left for me is to compose a concerto for the two of you. What began as a joke became something real. Then everything fell into place. So I proposed to Sylvain that we create this project with the OFUNAM, and I am very happy that it's coming to life.
Your work is conceived as a programmatic piece with precise narrative development. Could you share with us how you musically structure the key episode of the Book of Exodus?
Yes, the Book of Exodus is the most narrative of the five books, of the Bible. For years, whenever I read this book, I have been searching for the sonic dimension of the Exodus. I imagine the sound or noise of the moments of that Exodus. This had already preoccupied me in a concerto for orchestra I composed in 2017, in which my relationship to sacred text was centered on the creation of the world. So here it is. What sound might the burning bush have made? Did the Hebrews sing? And how? How did Moses hear in the Mount Sinai? What noise accompanied the dance around the golden calf? The piece follows the great stage of the Exodus. The musician know which event correspond to which moment, but I did not write this into the score because I want the audience to imagine freely the unfolding on sequence of events. So I am very curious to know, for example, where you will place the dance of the golden calf.
Why did you choose the combination of two solo pianos? What expressive or symbolic dimension were you seek to explore with this instrumental duality within the concerto?
Yes, it's a major question. In reality, the two pianos do not embody a specific character. It is less a concerto for two pianos than a concerto for orchestra with two piano solists. All the groups are treated as solists in the work. The piano, of course, but also the percussion and the brass. The pianos, however, embody both the raw force and the work's narrative, fluid, and its lyrical dimension. Not necessarily traditional lyrism, at times the two pianos sings in the lowest register of the instrument, a magnificent range for evoking ancestral things.
The OFUNAM will have the honor to present in the world premiere of Chemot. What motivates your decision to grant Mexico and this orchestra the world premiere of your work?
Yes, for reasons that are both personal and musical. I have known Sylvain Gazanson for many years, and is an absolutely fantastic conductor, one who truly works in depth on creation. We have had many exchanges when he performed Rite de la Nuit Noire here. He was struck by the orchestra interpretation, which we revealed the work's interprimal dimension. So I kept the OFUNAM orchestra in mind throughout the composition. I always carry in my mind the sound of the solist on orchestra for whom I write. So it was a really joy for me that this premiere is taking place here.
To whom is Chemot dedicated, and what personal significance does the dedication hold within the spiritual and historical context of this work?
The work is dedicated to the two patrons of the piece, Jean-François Dubos et Bernard Lemasson. Thanks to them, the work has able to come into being, as they commissioned it for Le Chant de Linos, an musical organization directed by Benjamin Aluni, a tenor with whom I am working on the major creative project around Schubert. Our time has an urgent need for this kind of initiative. Chemot is the result of collaboration between French and Mexican forces.
In the contemporary landscape, how do you think Chemot fits in? Did you consider that the work engaged with earlier symphonic traditions or marks deliberate break?
Yes, in the contemporary landscape, I see Chemot as occupying a space that is both connected to tradition and entirely its own. With the work engages with symphonic tradition throughout orchestral texture, thematic development, and the narrative arc reminiscent of earlier large-scale composition. It does not seek to imitate them, whether it transforms these elements to serve a modern narrative and spiritual purpose. In this sense, the piece marks a deliberate dialogue with the past, it's sure, but it honors the form and color of the symphonic lineage, while asserting a threat contemporary voice that reflects the multiplicity and inertia of our time. Chemot is therefore both rooted in tradition and fully committed to present-day expression. As you know, we are celebrating the centenary of Pierre Boulez's birth. I am quite familiar with his early works, and I have just published here in France a book with interviews I conduct with him between 2007 and 2013. Together with Sylvain and the orchestra director, we conceived this work as a creation that formed part of the centenary celebration. I have great admiration for Boulez, but my work is quite different from his. That said, for the dance of the golden calf, I used the series of notation that Boulez composed in 1945. I work extensively with this series. It is not used as a direct reference to Boulez, yet it remains clearly recognizable. In fact, Sylvain identified it perfectly.
This concerto presents considerable technical and expressive challenge for both the orchestra and the soloist. What interpretative aspects do you consider essential for understanding and communicate your work?
The most difficult aspect of this score is the setting up of the sound layers. I pay close attention, for example, to the writing of dynamics. It is crucial that the pianissimo are played exactly as written. I also greatly enjoy in my composition lowering voice that intertwine with another. But this is only possible if the dynamic lowers are absolutely respected. For me, music is first and foremost about singing and dancing, and this work sings and dances continuously, sometimes in the subtle, hidden way, sometimes openly. But it is always in motion. That is really what I want to provide to you.
And finally, Maestro, what do you hope that the Mexican audience will discover, feel, or reflect upon when they hear for the first time Chemot?
So I hope that the Mexican audience will be captivated by this fusion of songs and dance. I have a very strong connection to Mexico, spiritual connection, for literary reasons, but nonetheless very profound. In France, a poet from the first half of 20th century, Anton Artaud, wrote exceptional text about Mexico, about the Tarahumaras, about the peyote dance. For me, at the heart of my representation, of your country, I see another primary source of the vital energy of our global civilization. Above all, I hope that it is this fundamental energy that will be communicated and shared.
Thank you so much for helping us to share the passion of the music with this new premiere.